You're welcome to Nationwide and to Dungarvan in County Waterford, where we are about to experience an art trail featuring the dye transfer prints of artist Jean Curran. Jean has created a series of selected frames from the original 1958 Technicolor movie Vertigo, and then printed them using the same process by which the film was made. Jean is one of only 4 dye transfer printers worldwide and is the only artist in the world creating art by this method. We caught up with Jean in her studio to see the process of making the prints, which are featured in shop fronts all around here in Dungarvan.
So I'm from here in County Waterford. I grew up about a mile from where I live and work here now. I studied photography in St. John's College in Cork, and it was when I started photography there that I first walked into a dark room, and as soon as I was in, I knew I was going to love it, and that was the thing for me. I loved processing my own black and white film and making my own black and white prints, and I did some colour printing. But when I left school, left college, I started working as a photographer for the newspapers, and it was a digital world. There was no black and white film, there was no dark rooms, so got thrown into that and spent quite a few years working for many of the Irish newspapers. And then I moved out to Kenya and I worked as a photojournalist there. But it was really when I was there that I realised that my ideas were the projects that I wanted to do were a lot more conceptual and maybe less photojournalistic. So I was trying to find my way back to the darkroom. I returned home to Ireland and I did a Masters in Fine Art Photography in Belfast. And after that then I made a few projects, but slowly but surely researched and looked into different methods of printing and what could I do, what would be the thing that would get me back working and living in a darkroom. And I came across dye transfer printing and I just absolutely loved everything about it. And so this is it now. So I work from here in the studio in my home farm, and I live in a lovely thatched cottage that my grandfather would have been born in. So it's a real honour and a privilege to live here and to live in a place where there's such legacy and heritage. And for my own work, I really enjoy being here because I have the space to think and to create. I don't have a lot of the distractions of modern, fast-paced life and the pressures that go with it, and I'm really able to concentrate on making good work. So dye transfer printing was first created in about 1916, but really came to light when the first ever full colour, inglorious Technicolor movies were released, and that was the first one was about 1934. But there's a particular look from the kind of an Americana advertising look from the 40s and 50s where there's really bright reds and clean yellows. That's as a result of the dye transfer process. And when we think about movies like Gone with the Wind or The Wizard of Oz, those colours and that vibrancy is as a result of this process. When I realised that these beautiful early colour films, these inglorious Technicolor movies have been made using this dye transfer process, immediately I realised, oh, you could take a frame from an old Technicolor movie and reprint it as a photographic still. And so when I started researching the different movies, Alfred Hitchcock was at the top of many of the lists of the greatest movies ever made. And in particular, Vertigo was thought to be his greatest colour achievement. The wonderful thing about Alfred Hitchcock is that he came from an art background, and so when he went about making his movies, he had done all his storyboarding and his planning and his designs long before he ever got on set. So when he got onto set, there was very little work to be done because everything was planned out. And he used colour very, very wisely in a very, very clever way. He used colour to move the audience along through the narrative of the story and to let people know that there's different themes, different things happening that they might not be aware of. And so when you look at a Hitchcock movie, it's unlike many other movies in that it can be taken apart and you can look at them as individual frames because he put that much care and attention into making his work. The process is a long-winded, difficult process. So from start to finish, it usually takes about 2 weeks to make the first print. I basically take a colour image apart into all its different elements, and I make lots of different exposures in the darkroom for each element, and I try and make each one as best as I possibly can. Then I get them all at the end and I put them into my bats of dye and I roll them out one by one, and that's the easiest way I can make a very difficult process. And today we've got a very fast-paced world, and there's billions of images being uploaded onto the internet every single day, and it made me really stop and think about, if there's that many images floating around in the atmosphere, how do we know what's good anymore? So it made me stop and think about, you know, the giants whose shoulders we stand on and the steps that they took. And so it made this very slow-paced process actually just pays homage to the colour and the craft that went into making these early colour works, and for me to develop it as a craft for myself. So in order to make this, I had to take out a project. I had to take out a copyright license with the estate of Alfred Hitchcock, and they were very receptive to the idea, thankfully. And then also I had to take out another license with Universal Studios, as Universal Studios hold the original camera negative of Vertigo. So they then had to go and select all the frames that I had chosen and then send them to me, and from there then I begin making the work. But people have received it very well, and I'm very fortunate that the Hitchcock estate were so responsive to the idea, and also Universal Studios. I'm very fortunate. I've had solo shows of this project in New York, LA, London. I have one opening in Munich in June, but this is going to be the first national showing of the Vertigo project, and I could not think of a better way for it to be than in my hometown of Dungarvan. So it takes about 2 weeks to get to this point of being able to roll out a print. But I hope you can see that the results are different to other photographic prints. It's a really slow process in a really fast-paced environment and fast-paced world. But I think the results are definitely worth it. The colours are very vibrant, very clean, and I hope that people will appreciate that when they see them in Dungarvan sitting in the windows. Well, the wonderful thing is that people have been so responsive to the idea. So during the first lockdown, I was very much missing the idea of being able to access artwork, or knowing that travel was going to be limited for some time. And so I approached the Waterford City Council Arts Office and with an idea of putting on an exhibition in the vacant shop fronts. And they brought in then Creative Ireland. And so together, the Arts Office, Creative Ireland, and I have created this exhibition. And the wonderful thing about it is that you can go into a town in Dungarvan where cultural events have been cancelled, cultural spaces have been closed, but yet it's going to give people the opportunity to see a full and succinct exhibition of works. And what better way to show it than to have to walk throughout the town and to have them framed with these beautiful old shop fronts. It's going to be just great.
Now with the exhibition up and running, I'm meeting Jean for a chat about how the art is being received in the town.
Jean, this is really unusual for somebody like you whose work is normally displayed in art galleries all over the world to be displayed in the town of Dungarvan. How do you feel about that?
Exciting, but also a little nerve-wracking as well, to bring it into a community where I suppose there's not that much contemporary art displayed throughout the town. So you're asking people that maybe don't seek out art galleries to maybe stop and pay a little bit of attention. And so that's a little nerve-wracking as well. You know, you're close to home, but so far the reception's been really great, so can't ask for any more.
Jean, when you undertook this project initially, did you have in mind a particular route that people might follow if they were to come and view the imagery?
Yes, there is. It starts in the centre of the square, continues up Mary Street, and then down here, down O'Connell Street, back up Main Street and around to the quays and finishes at the library.
Have you been happy with the response?
Yeah, it's been overwhelming. People really just got behind the project, and they've responded really well, and they're interested to know more about the process of how they're made and more about the movie, and you end up having great conversations about Alfred Hitchcock. Loads of people either like him or hate him, and so it's been really, really interesting.
And testament really to the long hours that you have put in to the creation of each of these images.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose for the younger generation, they never would have seen the words "Inglorious Technicolor" at the end of a movie on the television when they were kids. And so for anybody interested in cinema and I suppose film history, this shows you what a Technicolor, original Technicolor movie actually looked like, what the difference of the colour and the vibrancy was, and how they were put together with such special care to make these really, really beautiful images. So they can be taken from cinematic to photographic, like what we've done here.
What you've achieved here is really quite special because the themes of Vertigo are in many ways dark, and you've got all this lovely colour in your imagery, and also you're bringing it to a big audience here.
That's Hitchcock in a nutshell. That's him. Covering up the darker themes with something really, really beautiful, and then becoming, you know, making work that was very popular to mass audiences all across the world. So that's him.
Of course, you couldn't have done this without considerable buy-in from the business community here in Dungarvan.
Yeah, the local business community just got behind the project straight away, and they've been so encouraging and supportive from the get-go. And it's really great that they've allowed us to use their premises in this way, in a way maybe that they haven't been seen before. So it's been really great.
Well, we're going to take a break now, but don't go away, because when we come back, we'll be bringing you more from the artwork in the shop fronts in Dungarvan, and we'll also be meeting artist Brenda Malley in County Wicklow. We'll see you shortly. You're welcome back to Nationwide and to Dungarvan in County Waterford, where we're following an art trail of work by print artist Jean Curran. The idea, did it come initially from Jean, really? Or
yeah, it came from Jean, yeah, that's right. You know, she had the whole idea about the vacant windows and everything. Yeah.
The project is supported by Creative Ireland, and Catherine Collins worked with Jean to bring the exhibition to the shop fronts in Dungarvan.
I mean, this initiative, Catherine, very much bringing art to the people. It's a very good fit for Creative Ireland.
So I'm the Creative Waterford coordinator, and Creative Waterford is part of the Creative Ireland programme. And in 2020, Creative Waterford gave some additional funding to support the artistic community in particular, because they were so heavily hit by the pandemic. And we sponsored a number of initiatives, but this one really caught my eye. It was presented to me by Margaret Organ, our arts officer, who had been working with Jean. And she just had such a fantastic idea about bringing her excellent high quality art out into the vacant windows in the town. And like so many towns in Ireland, there's lots of vacant windows, vacant spaces temporarily, and also the architecture in the town is stunning. So how better to highlight this beautiful work? And it's giving something back to the community as well, because of course we can't go into galleries, and isn't it wonderful to be able to see this excellent high quality art, which is reminiscent really for so many older people as well. The Vertigo movies and Hitchcock, they have fabulous memories. So it's just bringing so many elements together that it was a brilliant thing for Creative Waterford and also for the Arts Office in Waterford Council to come together and support the work.
Are there plans to bring it further afield?
Absolutely, so we're going to keep it here in Dungarvan for the summer. It's such a busy tourism town, you know, let everybody get the benefit. And then we're going to move it to Kilmacthomas because of course villages need this kind of cultural life as well. And Kilmacthomas is really the centre, the heart of our Dungarvan Greenway. So fantastic opportunity for people there, and who knows after that. But I mean, to have art exhibiting in vacant windows, to have, you know, with fantastic history of the mural arts in Waterford City, and of course our galleries will be reopening, so isn't it brilliant to have all these different types of visual art available to everybody.
David Walsh is a business representative in Dungarvan.
David, this is a really nice initiative for members of the business community here in Dungarvan to get behind.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a fantastic addition to the town. Delighted that Jean has chosen Dungarvan to do it, obviously with the support of Waterford Arts Centre, Waterford County Council. It's brilliant. There's a lot of empty businesses around the town, unfortunately. With the year we've all had, it's starting to come out of it now, but some of these businesses are actually empty with the last few months and a year or so. Fantastic that they've joined the initiative and they've made their premises available for Jean for this wonderful exhibition.
The exhibition is continuing for the summer months. Would you be hopeful that this might generate some extra footfall to the town?
We certainly hope so. It's a unique product that nowhere else in this country has actually had, so we're delighted to have Jean's exhibition come to the town. Footfall hasn't been an option for us now for the last few months. We're now currently opening up, which is fantastic. June bank holiday coming soon. We'll have people coming from all over the country overnighting, so I think it's going to actually bring people down, and hopefully you can share this message for us, which is great.
And what was the level of interest from people who are part of the Chamber in getting involved in this?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm involved in the Chamber of Commerce myself locally. We've spoken to a lot of the businesses and there's actually no shortage of offers to provide their premises, which is great. So they all wanted to get on board, a number have, and I'm delighted to have that way, so it's great for the town.
Do people know the film?
Absolutely, yeah. Every one of us would have seen one or two of the Hitchcock films in our time. Vertigo is one of those classics, and here's a very unique product, an exhibition around the movie, I suppose.
And you know, the artwork on display around Dungarvan really is a great addition to the shop fronts here in the town.